My name is Komal Sable, and I am a coffee producer in India. Along with that, I also run South India Coffee Company. Mooleh Manay is a coffee farm that has been in the family for 5 generations, and we are taking care of that right now. So I'm the co-founder at South India Coffee Company, which began in 2017, and the goal is to create a transparent supply chain. South India Coffee Co. is an Indian specialty green coffee trade house that prioritizes transparency and traceability across the chain. We work with around 20 other producers. So we work with like small producers. We have a project called Shirangali Project. Then we work with medium and large scale producers as well. And this coffee is distributed globally. We take care of the entire supply chain. So we work with growers on one end, roasters on the other end, and of course, importers as well. And we have our own offices in the UK and US where we warehouse our own coffees, and importers such as TSU bring our coffees into Europe. We have also set up SICC Labs, which is a research and development wing for South India Coffee Company. And SICC Labs focuses on low intervention coffee species of the future. We're conducting research projects aimed at climate proofing coffee and coffee agriculture practices.
What are the advantages for you and the producers you work with to sell your coffees via this setup or like having your warehouses in the US and the UK?
Yeah, so this side up has been like fantastic because they like their vision aligns a lot with ours, and the way they work and their ethics in terms of transparency and how they work with producers overall is fantastic. We've been working with them for I think 4 or 5 years now, and they also understand like they're not just importer partners, but they understand the issues at origin. They will like keep in touch. They will have like back and forth with us. So that's really important when it comes to a relationship of buying and selling. Um, for I think the advantage for producers would be that we have a direct connection with a lot of the roasters that we work with. And the setup is doing a fantastic job of just connecting these people together. Like we are having this chat right now. Um, and that's fantastic. Those kind of relationships are the ones that kind of will flourish into larger commitments and bigger overall better relationships, because at the end of the day it's not just buying and selling some coffee. It is more than that.
How much coffee are you producing per year?
So as Mooleh Manay goes, we're producing around 200 to 300 bags of coffee a year. But as SICC, we buy more than 1,000 bags per year.
How did you end up in the production of coffee?
So honestly, I just got married into a coffee family, and that's how I've been. That's how I ended up being in the coffee production line.
So what are some of the challenges you and other Indian coffee farmers are facing?
Currently, as coffee producers, this is not just in India, but worldwide, everybody is facing the challenge of climate change. And in India, for example, like last year, this year itself, the temperatures in March and April went up to like 38 to 40 degrees, which is like unheard of during that time of the year, especially in coffee growing regions. We also like faced a lot of like it was a drought like situation where we ran out of water, where we couldn't irrigate enough as well. And that's a challenge that we are facing, not just us, but I think it's not just Indian coffee producers, but overall across the globe, we are all facing this challenge. Um, yeah, and I have to mention, like after that 38 to 48 degrees, the next month, which is in July, we had around 800 of rainfall. So, right from going from a drought-like situation to like just heavy rain in 1 month, the environment, you can see that there is a lot of change and we need to adapt to it.
You are producing more than just coffee. What else are you producing on your farm?
So on our farm, we produce in coffee itself, we produce 3 different coffee species, which is Arabica, Robusta, and Excelsa. Along with that, black pepper is a very big crop that we produce. That's something that a lot of people in this area, which is Coorg, the farm is located in Coorg, Karnataka. Coorg is one of the oldest coffee growing regions in India. And that's where we grow coffee, pepper. There is, on our farm itself, we grow coffee, pepper, jackfruit, banana, papaya, oranges. Those are the kind of things that we grow. But overall, in this belt, you will also see other spices like cardamom being grown as well.
Do you sell all of these products as well, or is it mostly just the coffee?
So for exports, we're only doing coffee. We sell the black pepper to local traders here in India itself.
Which varieties of coffee do you produce, and which processes are you using?
At Mooleh Manay, we usually are producing, like I mentioned, Arabica, Robusta, and Excelsa. The processes that we do on this particular farm, which is Mooleh Manay, is either naturals or honey sun-dried coffees. We don't do any washed coffees as such. Now, with the naturals and the honey sun-dried coffees, we're trying to use as little water as possible in the processing. We've now gotten about 30 to 40 odd drums, which we can do like fermentations in, anaerobic fermentation. So we can do some controlled fermentations that can kind of change the flavor profile of the coffee itself.
Well, I have the natural Robusta, then the honey sun-dried Robusta, natural yeast fermented Robusta, and the natural Arabica.
So the first process is just a very straightforward natural that we do. We pick completely ripe coffee, we siphon it, all the floats and the dried coffee will come out, and then we have the sinkers, which is the good coffee, and that goes onto either the drying beds or the patios to dry directly. The coffee is raked continuously every single day, a few times a day, in fact, to make sure that there's even drying throughout the day. And then we kind of close it in the evenings to make sure there's no unexpected moisture and things like that into the coffee. The second process that you have is the honey sun-dried Robusta. Now, that was like kind of anoxic because we wanted to kind of really take our time with the fermentation with that coffee. We fermented it for a while, then we sent it through an eco-pulper. Again, we don't use any water through the eco-pulper, and let the mucilage just be there as much as possible. And then we dried it out into the sun or even in the poly houses. Yeah, yeast fermented one, which we made a custom yeast culture for it in-house. So we started it with raisins. And that's how we started the yeast culture, raisins and sugar. And then we kind of used the coffee cherry. When you're putting it in the drums, you have this water coming out. And that's what we used to inoculate again to kind of restart the yeast as well. So it was quite an interesting flavor profile at the end of it. So the natural Arabicas is kind of our flagship coffee. So at Mooleh Manay, we actually started with naturals, which is very, at that point of time in 2017, 2018, nobody was doing a lot of naturals and exporting them in India. So that's kind of our flagship where we've kind of slowly gotten a process right. That's again, we pick Arabica is kind of very tricky to pick right. So we have to do a lot of rounds of picking with Arabica. And that comes back to the processing center where we siphon it again, and then we kind of let it ferment in the drums for I think this one was about 48 hours. And then we let it dry out in the polytunnels. So the Arabicas are really, really tricky to do when it comes to natural, especially in India. The problem is we've had so much rain in the last few years during harvest. So it's always very tricky to do naturals during that time of the year.
So Robusta is easier to pick?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Robusta is a lot easier to pick because it ripens probably everything ripens at the same time, around 80%-ish. And Arabica, however, has it is more tricky because it also depends on the variety. So, like, if it's a 795 or if it's a Chandragiri or it's a selection 6, they all ripen at very different times. And also the level of ripeness is very different for every coffee. So that's a bit tricky. However, we're training our staff to kind of, pick right. We try to make sure that, that's something that we do from the get-go. When you're working in quality products, you really need to make sure that right from the beginning we are doing the right practices to get a good product out.
How many people are working at your farm?
So we have like around anywhere between like 20 to 30 people working on the farm. So, and of course, during the season, we'll have more people.
What are the plans for the future of your business?
So for me, I want to see South India Coffee Co. I want to see Indian coffee basically be in as many menus as possible, as many roasters as possible, because I think at this point of time, it's still the beginning of a lot of people are just only getting to know about Indian coffee now. And the goal is to kind of spread the word, get more people on board, work with more producers who are doing great work, and also on the other side, work with good roasters who understand the amount of work that goes into producing this coffee. So the goal is really to see more coffee on different menus across the world.
What would you like to say to my customers?
So I would like to first thank everyone for whoever has tasted our coffees, appreciated them, and given them a try. So thank you for just opening your minds to a new origin. And then I want to tell them that growing coffee in an agroforestry setting in India is a very delicate balance between human intervention and nature. So coexisting harmoniously with wildlife and nurturing your coffee crops is extremely demanding. So thank you once again for taking the time and even exploring that there is coffees of different origins, and our coffee is one of them. I'd also like to say, I would like to say, get Patrice to get more Indian coffee on the menu. Tell him that you want to try more. And ask more questions about the origin of the coffee, where it is from, and we would be very happy to share our experiences with you. And once again, thank you to everyone who's given our coffees a try.
What's your favorite song?
My favorite song, wow. Lots of Hindi songs that I listen to. I should probably tell you one of those. Uh, hmm. Hmm. I think it's going to have to be. I don't know what I was humming this morning. I will tell you though in a minute. I listen to like so much different music. Like I'm usually like in the mode of like if it's like a quiet day and stuff like that, I'd just be like mornings will be something that is kind of more meditative and like quieter music and stuff like that. And then when I'm driving or I'm in the car, I'm probably listening to a lot of podcasts though. It seems like jazz music is what I was playing.
Jazz, yeah, okay. Grompere Kichelchen.
Say it again.
Grompere Kichelchen.
Competition.
Yeah,
No.
not bad. Yeah, Grompere Kichelchen. Yeah.
Competition.